All right, what is up, YouTube? We are trying something a little bit different, somewhat of a innuendo that we're doing this week. All right, so we got listener questions. Let me tell you all about it, how it's going down. This is something that I'm going to be doing every single week. So as long as I get a really good question that comes my way that I can spend a few minutes talking about, and then I'm also just going to sprinkle in one to two topics that kind of caught my eye this week in the news, headlines, things of that nature. So to keep the momentum going, I would love to encourage you all to make sure that if you have a question you want me to tackle, you can post that question down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, at the RCWR show. And do me a huge solid. When you put the question, if you're doing it on YouTube, or if you're doing it on Facebook, Twitter not so much because it's direct and I know a question when I see it. But if you're going to be leaving something on YouTube here, definitely at the end of your question, put in parentheses a capital LS so that I know that's a question I need to tackle. And sometimes I may be able to tackle an additional question or two when we do these streams for you guys. If not on here, sometimes I'll do my best to forward a question over on the radio show, which you can catch every single Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. Of course, if you can't check it out live, you can scoop it up on a lot of different platforms. It's available on demand for downloads for all your great listening purposes. So we're going to see how this works out. This is kind of an interesting experiment because YouTube just recently rolled out a mobile version. They're trying to compete now with Facebook Live. And if you've known me for a good minute, you know I've been playing around with Facebook Live for past several weeks now, and I really have been enjoying it over there. But YouTube decided they wanted to do this, so we'll see how this works out for a little bit. I'm willing to dive on in and see what's going down. So this week's question is a pretty good question, and I've had a good amount of time to marinate on this. And the question, it comes from our good friend Joe, if I'm not mistaken, and I want to make sure we show him a proper nod on Twitter, just to make sure, because he's asked me this question about maybe 2 weeks now, at least as far as did I follow up on the question, did I tackle it yet? And I didn't tackle it. And I'm not logged into Twitter right now. That's because I logged out on my phone earlier. But I'm like 90% certain it was Joe. So Joe, here's the answer to your question, buddy. So he wanted to know if I could reform WWE's The Shield, what would my stable consist of? More specifically, what he was asking was who would be my third member of The Shield? Because as we all know, we got Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. They're both on Raw. Dean Ambrose is over on SmackDown. So I've had plenty of time to think about this. I've had plenty of time to go through the entire WWE roster, even NXT. And I got to tell you guys straight up, there's really not one name that truly jumps out at me. Now, I know when I say that, a lot of you guys are probably going to be like, damn, Lee, no, there's actually a couple that I'm just really thinking from the standpoint of what the Shield had with its original members, the momentum that they had the first go round, the buzz, the attention that they garnered, and just looking at all three of those guys just kind of going, you know what? Those are three talented individuals. They look badass. They look like they're going to each make some serious money for the WWE in the years to come whenever that stable does break apart and they all go their separate routes. So for me, it's the most simple answer I could give to the question, which is my third member for the Shield. If I were able to do this, it would be no other than Dean Ambrose. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm deciding to go with the original three and not just put in a new third guy. We can all be in agreement that when the Shield had first began years back, white hot, everything that I said earlier, Everybody was talking about them. Everybody. I mean, just really stop and think back for a moment. The Shield came right at a time when CM Punk was still active and he was wrestling for the WWE on a full-time basis. Daniel Bryan was still active. Just think how far back it was that we saw the Shield. It really wasn't that long ago. I mean, just off the top of my head, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, it almost feels like it's been like almost 5 years since the Shield had formed. Probably might be less than that. It might actually be about four, but it kind of feels like it's been 5 years now. So time just really flies when you really stop and think about it. And I always felt in my heart of hearts that WWE broke up the Shield way too soon. Way too soon. There was so much life, there was so much leg with that stable that it wasn't even funny. It wasn't. And I would tell you, I was just really shocked when they split those guys up. I did not see it coming, at least not at that juncture when they had pulled the trigger, let alone did I think it would be Seth Rollins, storyline wise, that would betray his Shield brothers. Some of us kind of always had the impression that if maybe anybody was going to do something like that, maybe it would be Dean Ambrose. A lot of us were prepared for Dean Ambrose. I didn't really see too many people saying, it's probably going to be Roman Reigns. I remember a lot of people back then when it kind of looked as though the seeds were being planted that the Shield could break up, that maybe somebody was going to turn on the brothers. A lot of people, including myself, were like, well, maybe it's going to go in the Dean Ambrose route. Because I guess at the time, again, several years back, but just kind of running off of the emotions that I had at the time when I saw it all play out in real time. It doesn't do justice when you're going back and you're watching it on demand now on YouTube, Hulu, or on the WWE network. But to actually be living in that moment then, experiencing the ride of the Shield, I mean, my God, I can't tell you how many times I went to a WWE event when Daniel Bryan, when CM Punk were still active, and when the Shield was like at its freaking peak. I can't tell you how many people were just in like Shield pandemonium. I mean, we had people that were dressed from head to toe as the Shield members. I mean, you could see your groups of three or sometimes five girls were dressing up like Seth Rollins from head to toe, had the bleach blonde hair going on, all that jazz. I mean, it was crazy. You saw the Shield memorabilia selling like hotcakes at the merchandise stands. I mean, they definitely were a draw at the gate. My own two eyes were seeing this and hearing this, and from the fans that I was talking to. Okay, so I really felt that WWE had a really good, strong marketing machine going on at the time when they had these guys that they basically just pulled from NXT. You know, of all places, they pulled them from NXT and was like, okay, here you go. This is your opportunity. Let's do it. I'm sure if Triple H, Vince McMahon, and crew, if they could have done a few things differently, I'm sure they probably would have gone back and maybe milked it for just a tad bit longer, considering how things ended up. Not that everything was bad. I'm not saying that at all. Has there been a few hiccups? Yes. But for me, it's the most simple thing that I can go with, because I got to go back to that period where what's getting the fans talking, what is generating the WWE brand or this WWE show, what's getting the fans talking, who are they talking about, who is our draw, what is selling at the gate, what's selling merchandise, what can we bank off of, what are they liking right now. A lot of fans really had liked Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns in the Shield. So for me, if I was booking it, Dean Ambrose would be the way I would go. Now, some of you may say, well, Lee, considering how all things are right now currently with the WWE infrastructure, storyline-wise, and with the draft that's come about, how exactly, if you could, how would you make it possible for Dean Ambrose to get back in on the Shield, considering he's been drafted over to SmackDown. It's quite simple, honestly. If I had the choice and I had full control, like storyline or whatever, what I basically would do, I would first off let it be a surprise. I would not even let the WWE Raw audience, because that's where I would first have the reuniting occur. I would let it go down on an episode of WWE Raw. And maybe you can kind of do it in a way where, who knows, maybe Braun Strowman has just been having rough shots with Roman Reigns to the left, Seth Rollins to the right, and maybe that way somewhere down the road, a couple of weeks past, just one night only, Dean Ambrose pops up and they do the trademark Shield beatdown on that dude. Maybe you could go about it that way. But I would do something like that in similar fashion where basically there is like a big threat that's been like a thorn in the rear end of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, where they feel as though they need to get some help. And I think storyline wise, what I would do is set it up in a way where Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon, Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon, they come to some type of a agreement that on certain occasions at their discretion, they decide to share talents to be part of whether it's a special match, special ceremony, a special moment, whether that occurs on Raw or on SmackDown or at a pay-per-view. It feels like that much special. That way you kind of throw in the enticement of, you know what, I gotta check out WWE Raw, or I gotta check out SmackDown, because I just don't know what to expect, because there's always some type of a surprise that I'll get for sure when I check it out. So just to kind of, rather than it feel like a chore for most people, and I think a lot of you guys can agree nowadays when it comes to watching Raw and SmackDown, although we need to put a little bit of an asterisk by SmackDown, because for the most part, SmackDown has been the better product than Raw since it's been live on the USA Network. So let's really be brutally honest about that. But that's a nice way to throw a little bit of an enticement out there. It kind of follows up on what I've been saying about the WWE brand off and on for some years now. In particular, when it comes to their live house shows events, basically, make it special. Have like there be a special appearance by a WWE superstar that like any other time, like you wouldn't even see them. Let it be just tailor made for that WWE live event, house show. You want to have people come to these house shows, give a damn. You want them to spend the money. You definitely got to do your part in doing an autograph signings, meet greet, all that good stuff. But for fans to pay to go to these live events and they're able to see for one night only something really badass, like kind of, God, I've been saying this for off and on for a couple of years now, and I remember WWE seemed as though they were finally kind of turning the corner a little bit. Everybody remembers the New York joint where Santino Marella, I believe it was, he was doing his thing. Was it Santino Marella? I remember Dwayne The Rock Johnson had showed up at a WWE live event in New York a couple of years back, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, oh my God," and like I thought that was badass. But that was exactly what I have been saying. And at that point, I have been saying it off and on for about 7 months. Nobody else was talking like that. So, if you could kind of implement things like that with your live events, but also implement what I just said, where you could have like a shared talent who basically, storyline wise, at the discretion of the general managers, right? And the commissioners, do it that way. So once in a blue moon, you see the Shield reunite. And the condition for Dean Ambrose would be anytime you see Dean Ambrose on Monday Night Raw, it is for a Shield reunion. Instantly, that's the only time you're going to see him. Now flip the script. In exchange, storyline wise for Dean Ambrose going over to SmackDown, correction, Dean Ambrose going over to Raw, SmackDown could benefit tremendously by either getting access to both Roman and Seth, or they could get access to just one of those guys. But if we're really going to make it be an even playing field, then you got to have Seth and Roman as a package going over to SmackDown as well for a one-nighter. Whether that could be just doing a quick beatdown, special tag team match, that's how you got to do it. So, Joe, to answer your question, that's the route that I'm going. Might be a little bit too cliche for some of you guys. Some of you all may have different ideas, but it's not like these guys are like in their 40s, 50s, and it's like, oh, time to think about replacements. This isn't the Midnight Express. This isn't NWO Red or NWO Latin or whatever. You still got the three original guys. They're still young. They're at their pinnacle right now. They are just really starting to scratch the surface about what they are about as individuals. So, and there's still a lot of money that you can make off of these guys, whether it's individually or collectively. I hope in the very near future, the Shield original reunites again. Now, if you ask me a question about who would be my new Shield stable if I were to just start from scratch, that's a good area that I can go into next week for you guys. So what I'll do, and this is a really good question to expand from, we'll give this to you in 3 parts. So this week, it's pretty much about who should be the third member in the Shield. So we answered that. Next week in listener questions, we'll tackle who would be the new Shield stable from scratch if I could choose. And then I think we may revisit this a third time and just go, look, let's just say one of those guys doesn't want to be in the Shield, doesn't want to be affiliated with the Shield anymore. Then who would be that new third piece to make up a Shield stable? So we'll give it to you in 2 more installments that'll basically be 3 volumes. Now, I did see another question that had came in as we're doing this, and I don't know if I can access it right now. I saw it pop up, but I'm not really seeing a chat window just yet here on my end. So you guys got to indulge me. There it is. Do I think that Eva Marie is gone from the WWE? That is a very good question. I've been hearing the rumblings about what's been going down with Eva Marie. I actually have not even done any proper research on that topic, as far as what the wrestling reports are saying. I can tell you this much. I usually, at some point during the week, once a day, I'll sit down and I'll see what's going on in wrestling forums, what has people talking, visit some of the wrestling sites, see what they're talking about. And this is the first time I've actually heard about this. So we just have to take it with a grain of salt that it's rumors, but I'd be more than happy to tackle that question for you. Let's say, for the sake of the argument, Eva Marie is actually thinking about leaving the WWE. Honestly, and this kind of goes back to what I said actually a couple of months back, and it fits right along the same lines of how I've always felt about Maria Kanellis. And I think you guys kind of see where I'm going if you're a long-time listener and fan of the show. Eva Marie, say what you will, she might not be able to wrestle worth a damn in the ring. She may not be the brightest light bulb in the middle of the ring. But the one thing that you cannot deny, men and women, you can't deny that she is a beautifully stunning woman. She has phenomenal looks. I mean, a nice, pretty face. Whether she has red hair or she has blonde hair. Last we saw her, she was pushing jet black hair. Don't matter. She's got the hair, she's got the face, she's got the body. I don't really know that much about her personality from the few things I've seen of her in rare interviews, what I've seen of her out in public, a few little video chats she's done. She seems like she's a sweet, kind-hearted person. She comes off that way. Now look, she may be a stuck-up person. I don't really know that, so I can't really speak upon that. I can only offer my 2 cents from a distance. But if she has strongly considered leaving the WWE, or it's already in motion, let me just tackle it from the standpoint she's thinking about leaving the WWE. It's what I've been saying for the past couple of months. With her type of looks, she should either be doing daytime soap, she should be doing Maxim covers, Sports Illustrated. She should be winning Miss Universe pageants or whatnot. She should be trying for little parts in TV roles, little parts in movie roles. She just has that look. You gotta capitalize on that. It just kind of ties back to Maria Kanellis. I have always been a big fan of Maria Kanellis, and I was pretty heartbroken when she had left the WWE. To her credit, she wanted, at least the way the story goes, she wanted a little bit more money, and WWE was like, nah, it ain't happening. And at that point, a lot of people felt as though her doing the Playboy covers, being on The Apprentice, just all that, all the media outlet opportunities that she was getting pretty much outside of the WWE, that WWE, from their standpoint, it was like too many distractions, and as a result, she was getting a big head as a result. And anybody that knows the long history, the bad track record that WWE had when they were letting their divas or female wrestlers go out, do these Playboy covers, do these other things that are kind of like out of their control, not really in-house. When it came time for these women to negotiate a new deal, they're like, well, I want a little bit more because I kind of see I have true value. And for some of those women, once WWE has showed them the door, their careers were never the same after that, sadly. So Maria Kanellis, bless her heart, the fact that she still is involved in the wrestling business to this day, that's just a testament to how passionate she is about the business. Yeah, I know she really doesn't wrestle like that, but just the fact that she wants to have anything to do with it at all, I think that's a real testament to her. However, she's now trying to make the moves to make her exit from pro wrestling because she's looking at a much bigger scale. She's trying to go get her college degree. I forgot in what major, but I was like, wow, well, you go ahead, girl, when I had first found out the news, because she actually had put it out on social media, and I believe also in a couple of recent interviews that that was her goal. Like in the next 3 to 4 years tops, she wants to be done with the wrestling business. So when I look at a young woman like Eva Marie, very young. I mean, guys, isn't she in her 20s, if I'm not mistaken? So, I mean, she's got a long way to go. I don't know, honestly, if she could be the next, I don't know if she could be the next Angelina Jolie. I don't know if she can be the next Jennifer Aniston. I don't know, guys. But I'll tell you this much, in all sincerity, the fact that she has the same PR team as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, she's going to be in good hands for years to come. So if she's honestly going, you know what, I think I'm done with this wrestling stuff, then you know what? The only thing we have to say, quite honestly, is, damn, that's kind of a shame, because no matter what, that girl, say what you will, she was able to get a reaction. And I've always been a longtime believer, old school mentality I have, is if you're a wrestler, your number one job is to go out there, get some type of a damn reaction. Doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad, get some type of reaction from the fan base. because that fan base determines your longevity. They pretty much determine your career, how long you're going to last in the business. So if you got a character that's just falling flat on so many cylinders, doesn't matter if you got the in-ring ability. If you're not connecting to them on that microphone, you're not going to be selling the shirts. You're not going to be selling at the gates. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's really all about. Very rare where you come across a promoter that's going to have a soft spot for a person. Oh, yeah, look, you're good in the ring. You're good in the ring, but you kind of suck on the microphone. I don't really know if we can kind of, I don't know if we can kind of work with that. It's very rare you'll have a promoter that it's all about the dollars and the cents. And I've always told up and coming wrestlers, because I've had my share over the years. I've helped out a few wrestler friends, put some little video packages together. I give them my little honest input when they were trying to get their little kits together and try to send it off to certain wrestling promotions. And I would always tell them, think about, even if you got your wrestling down packed, think about the ultimate consumer. Think about that damn man, that woman, that kid that you're going to be getting out there in the ring and you're going to be entertaining for. That's great that you got the moves down, but you also need to think about getting on that microphone and spitting that fire. They remember stuff like that. So you always got to go out there and you got to get some type of a damn reaction. So number one, that's my number one joint. And Eva Marie, say what you will, she always got a reaction from the crowd. And anything that she has her mind set out to do. And look, people that always, and this always just personally irritates the fuck out of me. Sorry for the curse word, but I'm being brutally honest here. What always irritates the hell out of me is, no, you can't do this. No, you can't. I don't believe. You know what? You can do, and I tell people this every time I get the opportunity. To say that you can't, you've already up here admitted mental defeat. You can have anything your heart desires. You can have anything that your heart truly desires, your needs, your wants, any goals that you're trying to accomplish in your life. You can do it. If you're serious about it, you're going to put in the time, you're going to put in the effort, you're going to put in the energy, no matter what the cost, no matter what sacrifices you have to make. You're going to remain diligent and you're going to see it through. That's how it goes down. Perfect example of that is a person that decides after high school they want to continue their education, they want to go to college. Okay, they get their associate's degree. Well, you know what? I really want to make sure I get that good paying job. I want to get that good salary. I want to be set for life. You know what? I got my associate's degree. I want to get my bachelor's. You got people that go for their bachelor's. Some people aren't even content after that. They say, you know what? I want to go for my master's. Some people aren't even content after getting their master's. I know people that have like 2 to 3 masters. So it is, you can do anything that your heart desires. All you got to do is be about it. Plain and simple. So I'm not saying she's going to be the next Angelina Jolie or the next Jennifer Aniston or whatever like that. But if she's decided, Eva Marie that is, that she's done with the wrestling and she wants to try to move on to bigger and better things, more power to you, sister. That's all I got to say. So other than that, let's see how this chat thing works again. I'm still trying to figure out my way through this chat and pull up I don't know how the hell. I just did it a couple of seconds ago. Oh, yeah, that's how you do it. So again, I'm only looking for questions right now. Not necessarily comments, although I will follow up on comments like maybe on our radio edition. But for now, it's just all about questions that I'll be tackling on here. And I don't really see any more questions. one other topic that I did want to talk about before I wrap it up for tonight, and it's something that's been kind of lingering in the back of my head for the past couple of weeks, and it just kind of culminated in what we've recently been seeing with President Trump and everything. Again, this is called listener questions and random thoughts. So here's just one random thought I'm going to share with you all for this week until next week. And that is President Trump. Now, just indulge me. I'm not going to go overkill with this. I'm going to be like 5 minutes or less on this topic. I understand that from a father standpoint, he wants to come to his daughter Ivanka's, defense, as Nordstrom decided they wanted to dump her. And I had to do a lot of soul searching about him being so vocal about this company on social media. And then when I really stopped and I really thought about it, the one question I had to ask myself was, if I was a parent and, if I did some really messed up, shady, questionable things, if I did things that just rattled the hell out of my friends, out of my family, out of my fan base, you know? And my kids and my other family members, they're receiving the back heat, the backdraft from that. They're being attacked on social media. They're being attacked in the press. And they haven't done anything wrong. Am I going to sit at the sideline and am I going to be silent, or am I going to come to that person's defense? Whether it's with a written statement or I put something out on social media, am I really going to jump out there like that? And I think, quite honestly, yes, knowing the type of person I am, the type of heart that I have, if a close friend, family member, or if it was my own kid, if they were receiving inadvertent backlash from something that I caused, I probably would jump to their defense. So from a parental standpoint, I do appreciate Donald Trump stepping up and saying, hey, Nordstrom, what the hell are you guys doing? You guys are a terrible company. You're just coming at my daughter like that. She's a really nice, sweet person. What the hell? And I've paid attention to the Trump family long before they even got involved in politics. And when it came to the name Ivanka Trump, nobody, I mean, America was first properly introduced to Ivanka Trump worldwide through The Apprentice. Like, almost when it first, matter of fact, when it first launched, we were introduced to Ivanka. So if you go that far back, you definitely back me up on this. You never heard anything controversial. You never heard anything bad about Ivanka Trump. Now that may change because now that she's part of the White House family, you got people left and right that may be slinging up stuff from 10, 15 years ago. But as far back as I can recall, and The Apprentice goes way back. I mean, The Apprentice has been around for, like, God, it feels like almost 8, 9, 10 years. You never heard anything bad about Ivanka. So for Nordstrom to do this move, if you ask me, look, I'm just saying from my 2 cents at a distance, Nordstrom really comes off as though, you know what? Your dad is the president of the United States. We, therefore, do not agree with some of the things that he says, that he's doing, some of the policies that he's implementing, his executive orders on a few things. You're going to be the receiving end of that punishment. This is our way of lashing out and sticking it to him. And that's just unprofessional. It's just freaking tacky. So from a parental standpoint to the Trump, I say, I feel you in defending your daughter. Me personally, I don't think I would have gone the extent that he did on social media. But I probably would have written a really well prepared statement, but it is what it is. But I probably would have came to my kids' defense, whether they're in the right or the wrong. I've always been the type of person, I will be one to admit wrongdoing, always. Even me, I will admit my wrongdoings. I'll man up and ask for forgiveness and try to move along. We all make mistakes. That's just life. The one thing, if I could offer any advice, and it's probably not going to happen, I just want for President Trump to really home in on his priorities as the President of the United States. You know, it just seems like he's so distracted in so many areas, whether he's talking about the Celebrity Apprentice or, you know, he's talking about what's going on with his daughter and her losing her sponsors and all that other stuff. And no, to Block Talk Sports, I do not support Donald Trump. Welcome, by the way, because I've never seen your handle before in my entire life. So any true RCWR show fan knows that I am the most opinionated, objective people that is around the web. That I always try to look at things from all standpoints, and I always try to give criticism, constructive criticism, when it's needed. I don't bash. I never bash. I critique. I offer constructive criticism. If something is wrong, then I cover it. At the same time, when they're doing it right, I give them that praise. Now, I let it be no secret, and just for the record, I actually voted for Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. I came very close to voting for Trump. Now, anybody that's been listening to my show for a good minute now, and you're part of the problem, you don't get out there, you don't vote. We need more people to get out there and vote. It's very important that you vote. You have to let your voice be heard. Even in defeat, you still got to represent. You got to let your voice be heard. You cannot make change in this world sitting on your ass and just watching the TV. You can't. You just can't. And right now, this is what I want to do. Right now. And yeah, that sounds good. There. So you got to vote. But when it's all said and done, you know, I got a lot more respect for somebody that cast their vote. Even if they, hey, we didn't win, but you know what, at least we vote. It's all about letting your voices be heard. That's what makes this country so fucking beautiful. And I'm sorry, but I'm from a family where I trace my roots. I have family members that did not get the right to vote. They had to fight for the right to vote. They had to go protest. They risked being arrested. They risked being beaten up by cops. They risked having their lives be threatened. But they did any and everything that they could to make sure that the generations to come, including myself, had the opportunity to cast that vote. So you best fucking believe, excuse the French, but you best fucking believe, if I have the opportunity to say what I want to see happen in this world, any one of us, and I'm definitely homing in on my fellow African Americans, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Any immigrant that has come to this country and they've legally done it the right way and they don't like what's going on in this country, now, that's not saying you don't like what's happening with whoever. You fill in the dots. I'm not saying this person or that person. All I'm saying is, when it's all said and done, if you don't like the way this world is being constructed, then do something about it. You get out there, you vote. You get out there, you sign those change.org petitions. You get out there, you you see if you can get enough signatures. If you really don't like what's going on in this world, see if you can get enough signatures. See if you can maybe run for office. Start small somewhere. Get involved in your community. That's how you do it. That's how you build from the ground up. That's how you do it. So, otherwise, just sitting at home on your ass, bitching, moaning, complaining, doesn't get anything done when it's all said and done. It's no different than that traditional person you see and hear at work. They complain about how crappy their job is, how the pay is this, how the pay is that. They wish they could do this, they wish they could do that. And you say to them, well, if you're that disgruntled, why don't you go look for another job? It's like, I don't know about you, but me, if I'm not feeling what I'm doing at my job, if I feel that it's time for a change, I'm not going to continue to piss, moan, bitch, complain. I'm going to freaking do something about it. That's how you do it. No matter the cost. So, and it doesn't even matter who's the president right now. That's irrelevant. That should always be the mindset. That's a lot. That's the bigger picture that you guys are really missing right now. A lot of you guys. So, but in closing, I went past my 5 minutes, but it's okay. But in closing, if I could offer any type of advice to President Trump, it would be scale back on, your criticism of whether you're being mocked on SNL, whether the Washington Post writes some really bad article about you, or somebody in New York, they give you a 1-star rating for your restaurant, hotel. You got bigger important things to do right now, Mr. President. Focus on that. That's it in a nutshell. So again, this is something that I plan on doing for you guys every single week. I'm not going to get to every single question that's being tackled because, quite honestly, I just want to tackle one really good question each week, run off it for a few minutes, and probably bring up one other question, and then give you a random thought. So we pretty much did all three, and you got a little bonus something for this week. So I'll come at you guys again next week. We'll see how this goes. But in the meantime, if you're not doing it already, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook at the RCWR Show. And if you have any questions you want me to try to tackle for next week, you can post them down below. You can get at me on those social media platforms. And if you like to talk of wrestling, sprinkled in with a little bit of other cool topics, like kind of what you got here tonight, you can check me out every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on Spreaker.com. And that's live. Can't catch it live, man. It's available all over the place on the downloads afterwards, man. So that's it. Appreciate y'all checking this out. Good first volume. We'll see how much this buzz, how much we can generate. Give it the likes, share it, all that good stuff. And that's going to do it. I'm wishing all you all to be safe. Be kind to one another. See you next week. Give me them questions down below. See y'all later.